Okay, I'm going to try this again. I'm not sure. I'm using this with my phone. This is our first attempt at this, so I apologize. This is video 2. I was explaining that if you have large breed dogs, deep-chested dogs. Harper, come. Okay. Lay down. Good girl. I'm not going to say yes. I'm not going to pay. We'll go over those concepts later, but she wants to need her to go to her bed, lay down, and just wait for a minute. But if you have large breed dogs, deep-chested dogs, dogs that are going to really go flying around exercising, you don't want to use their food. You don't want to feed them at the same time as working them. But if you're working for brief 2 to 3 minute periods of time, or even 3 to 5 minute periods of time, and you're using their food, that's the same as them inhaling it in 3 to 5 minutes of time, and then going around and doing something else after they play or go outside and go potty. So there are a lot of trainers who are like, don't do this, don't do that. I'm going to say don't do this, don't do that for some things, and I just want you to use common sense, research it, ask your vet if you have some medical issues. Again, I'm a vet tech. My oath is to do no harm. I'm already giving food. I'm already giving treats. I'm already giving toys and playing and rewarding and doing those things. So I want to actually, have my dog understand it's a relationship. Out. Come. Touch. Yes. And I want her to be able to understand that when I say one thing, I mean it, and I say it on one cue. So without further ado, we're going to go into the 4 steps. Our 4 steps are get the behavior you want, then cue it, then mark it, then pay it. That's how I do things. That's how I can teach any behavior I want in any environment, under any distraction, getting lifelong obedience. And eventually maybe there might be a couple of no moments or don't do that moments, but generally speaking, I'm going to redirect. So if she's sniffing around doing a dog thing and I want her to come back, I usually, with recalls especially, so let's just start with those, I get them in motion to me first. So my clear definition is to come when called and to be in motion to me when called. If she's running the other direction, which you can't see, and then when she comes towards me, Harper, come, yes. Again, I tend to allow things that you guys might not allow, so I allow some jumping in the beginning, but we'll work on off. That'll be part of the series too. So if I want her to do something else, for instance, let's go. And maybe she's over there again, or she says, hey, you got stuff on you, that's awesome. And I do. Generally, I have something on me in the beginning. Eventually, I won't. We'll go over that as we go through the series, because there's beginning, intermediate, and advanced level trainings. But she's walking away again. Harper, come! Yes! I want her to think that coming to me is the coolest thing that she could do. In motion to me is when she hears come. That's yesable, that's her job, and that's what gets paid. Out. Good girl. In the beginning too, we've never done this outside. Sorry about my coughing. I had some allergies too today, but we've never done it outside. I'm going to take away some of the distractions. Harper, come. Yeah. And I'm going to start teaching her to come when called in different levels of distractions as we go. Some people can say, oh, she should know better. She's 11 months old. She's a puppy. We've never done this outside. In fact, I only started training her outside, teaching her outside a little bit yesterday. So all of this is new, and it's new for me. So work with me as we go here. Let's go. Harper, come. Yes. And she's working for kibble right now. She's working for her own breakfast, her own dog food. I don't have high-value chicken. I don't have high-value hot dogs. She's kind of looking up at toys right now going, I really wish she'd play with one of those with me. So, Harper, come. Yes. That was without me luring her first. She came when called. She gets a toy. Excellent. Here. Ha 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 ha. I got it. Uh-oh, I got it. Uh-oh, I got it. Instead of always food, you can play with your dog. If they find it enjoyable, you can do that. She's going through everything. Where'd you go through? Where'd you go? Aha. Puss. Sit. Let's sit. Oh, close. So, puss. Yes. Look what you done. Where is it? Oh, where'd it go? It's on your bed. There, good girl. I also like to have conversations with my dogs, so you'll find that in a lot of the videos too, it's on your bed, or I'll help direct. There's going to be a lot of people who say that's right or wrong. I do what I do because it works. Dogs do what they do because it works. So you have to do what works for your dog and for you. That's also why I don't tend to use pinch collars, choke chains, shock collars, etc. in a lot of aversives. I don't like what it does to the dog. I don't like the physicality behind it, so I'm going to address that. There is damage to the scar tissue that builds up around the neck. There can be damage to the trachea or windpipe, resulting in laryngeal paralysis later on in life. There can be damage to the thyroid glands, resulting in an endocrine disorder. There's a lot of different things that can happen. And the voltage alone in a shock collar, some people say it's like a TENS unit. A TENS unit is meant to heal, not harm. A shock collar is meant to harm. It is meant to cause fear and pain, to say to stop what you're doing. There's all these concepts, and you can go back to Pavlov and Skinner and all sorts of research for why they work. Shock therapy was basically stopped in human medicine. Why? Because it was aversive. So we still use it with dogs because it is effective. It is absolutely effective. If someone has a gun to your head, you're going to probably do what they want you to do. If someone has a knife to your throat, you're probably going to do what they want you to do. It is fear tactic, absolutely, without a doubt. So that's, for some trainers, that's fine for them, and maybe they use it, really professional trainers might use it on low levels, and that's fine if they're comfortable with that with their dogs and they get those high scores. That's great. I'm a companion obedience person. I do competition. I've been able to avoid classes and walk into rings and trial and title and get placed without needing them. So I'm not an international competitor. I'm not a national level competitor at this point. I never went that far with my dog, so I don't know if we could have went that far. Guinness was the third Doberman in the world to have a trick dog championship. We had 15 titles after our names before he died, and he has earned 2 posthumously for what we did afterwards. Again, posthumously. So we have 17 titles. He was my first dog, guys. So I tend to tell people you can go as far as you want to go, and you can use the methods that you're comfortable using. He was my first dog. There were people who said he'd never amount to anything because he was too reactive. And I'm the person who says, you tell me I can't do it, I'm going to show you I can. So I'm very, very much a positive reinforcement trainer, but there's also the other quadrants that we do use. Positive punishment is adding no. If you say no to your dog, you are positively punishing your dog, period. No questions. There is no 100% purely positive, and people who think that there is are wrong. I'm sorry. Negative punishment, being able to take something away to stop a behavior, we do that all the time when we ignore our dogs. So you're using yet another quadrant, negative punishment. Sounds horrible, right? But it's not. You take away attention, you leave the room when your dog is jumping on you, you turn your back. You are taking away attention to stop the jumping. You are negatively punishing your dog. You don't have to understand all of these concepts, but I want you to understand that there are 4 quadrants that we actively use when we use behavior. We use 2 of them rarely, positive punishment and what's also called negative reinforcement. It gets confused a lot. Negative reinforcement, a common example is taking a dog that's on a choke chain and they are yanking the chain to the ground, so the dog is forced into a down position, feeling all that pressure on the back of his neck, feeling a little bit of that choking on his neck. And then as soon as the dog downs, we relieve the pressure. It means we are taking away pressure to reinforce, to say, hey, you downed, you are getting reinforced. As soon as you down, you don't have that pressure on your neck. Same with an ear pinch retrieve. That's a common method, unfortunately, in competition world, is they'll take a pinch collar and pinch the dog's ear until the dog opens his mouth and puts it on the dumbbell or whatever item they're getting them to retrieve. Could be a duck in hunting. But they feel that pressure, they feel that pinch on their ear until they take that dumbbell. So they feel all that, and then we take that away. We take it away, it means. And then we say, hey, you grab that dumbbell. We reinforce. You grabbing that dumbbell as fast as you can means that pressure on your ear and that pinch on your ear goes away. Or that pressure on your neck goes away when you down. That's negative reinforcement. So that is by far the worst quadrant to use. I don't use it. I don't recommend using it. Positive punishment depends. If you're physical, no, but I do have no moments. I'm going to admit to even my mentors and the people I work with, there are times I say to my dog, no. I'm human, and that's the best thing that I can tell you right now is that there are going to be some no moments. As much as I try to stay positive, the majority is going to be teaching, the majority is going to be reinforcing positively, the majority is going to be taking away attention and ignoring things that I don't like or redirecting them. We're going to talk about that a lot when they're doing something wrong. If the dog's jumping on the counter, I want to redirect them, come here, and get them off of the counter. So when they're 4 on the floor, I can say off. But that doesn't mean I want to pay them right away for that off, and that gets confused a lot. People are like, oh, so you're just going to let them wander around on the table or the counters. No, I'm not. Positive training doesn't mean permissive training. That's also why this is an introductory video that I want people to see. Positive training does not mean that you're going to be permissive about your training. It doesn't mean that you're going to allow your dog to just do naughty things for naughty reasons and just ignore them for it. There's just a lot of other things that can happen. So without that, I guess, polluting the rest of the series, I really find it important for people to understand where I come from and why I do what I do. 4 main steps: get the behavior you want, then cue it with the word that you want, the definition. So step 1 is the definition. Then cue the word that you want associated with that definition or phrase. Step 3, mark it with a yes, and then step 4 is to pay it. I want you to pay it. I want you to reinforce it. I want you to say, you did that right, so yes, that's step 3. Yes, I'm going to tell you did it right, and then boom, you get the paycheck for it. So my dog's over in the shade, actually. You can't really see it because I wanted to set it up stable-wise for the video versus like moving around that you're going to see in the future. I'm not a professional videographer, so work with me here. But I want her to be able to come when called. I want her to be able to pay attention. I want her to be able to have some fun with me. So in all reality, I want to reinforce her for all the good things that she does. And so I'm just going to put some higher value stuff in my bait bag here. And I have a little bait bag. There's no excuse not to train. You can have a keychain, you can put your ID in there, it has a belt clip, it actually has a belt loop to go around your waist if you want it more like a fanny pack, for poop bags, and then also French hinge so you can keep it open. It's called the Gentle Leader Bait Bag. It's by Terry Ryan designed. I love it. I've had them for years, come in 3 fashionable colors, available online, and you can wash them, and again, I have them for years. So it's one of my favorite things to do, especially in the beginning. Now, as we go along, I don't want to use treats forever. No problem. You don't have to. But again, you do feed your dog. So, by definition, you can continue to teach your dog as many cues as you want, lifelong, by simply manipulating their environment. You manipulate what's around them. All training is manipulation. Whether you're using a collar, pinch, shock, choke, regular, flat, gentle leader, whatever, if you're using a collar, you are manipulating the dog's environment. You are preventing them from going somewhere with a leash attached. Again, there are leash laws. We're going to train on leash. We're going to prevent a lot of behaviors, but I want to set them up for success and say, instead of manipulating fear, pain, and anxiety with collars and aversives, I want to manipulate everything that I already give them. Do you feed your dog? I hope so. Otherwise, we have to have a whole other conversation. But do you give your dog treats? Do you reward your dog with toys and walks and freedoms? If you said yes to those things, then you can manipulate their environment to get them to do everything that you want them to do. Everything. And as we set up successful repetitions, we set up successful habits. Generally speaking, I tell my students it takes between 3,000 and 7,000 successful repetitions in varying environments under varying distractions before your dog actually understands a habit. People can disagree with me all they want. You can not believe me if you want, but that's your goal. If you can do 3,000 successful repetitions, successful ones, not repeating cues, not saying, oh, they didn't do it, we're going to do it. No, successful repetitions. I say sit, the butt hits the ground. Whether it's here, whether it's in front of 15 dogs, whether it's in front of 15 people, whether it's at a pet expo, whether it's at a demonstration ring, I say sit, the butt hits the ground, any environment, under any distraction, and you can do that 3,000 to 7,000 times, you have a habit. Your dog understands that cue. But it's not just in front of you. It's on the left side of you. It's on the right side of you. It's across the room, right? So we're going to talk about how to develop those habits so that your dog knows the definition, no questions asked. There's going to be error. Your dog is not a robot. They will choose sometime to make a mistake. They will choose, no, don't want to sit. That's okay. There is no 100% in your behavior either. I'm pretty sure that you've never attended work all 100% of the days. You've never been sick. You've never had a headache. You've never called in because you maybe couldn't go to work for whatever reason possible. There are probably times that you're not 100% too. So don't expect your dog to be. Your dog's not a robot. Your dog's a living creature. So again, introductory video, I go over all of this in my orientations. Feel free, if you're at the, anywhere in southeastern Wisconsin, to come to the WOOF, watch me train, see my classes, come to my workshops, come visit the dogs, just to kind of see what the environment's like. We do daycare with Train as well. I'm outside, sorry, there's going to be some natural noises. Apparently they wanted to get in on the video. Hi! How are you? Do you want to join us? All right, well, let's get started. So I'm going to turn it off now. Introductory video, we went over some of the 4 steps, kind of how I train, why I train, and we're going to get started with some lessons. So come join us.